political napalm. We are going out of 2023 with a bang. I say Happy New Year 2024 because I'm sure most of you will actually be watching this in 2024, but it was originally posted here at 9 o'clock a.m. December 31st in 2023, and I just want to walk you guys through what right-wing, rightoid maggot propaganda looks like in person, and to give you the tools on how to defeat stuff like this. So, disgraced and pardoned and fired General Mike Flynn here, 9 o'clock a.m., December 31st of 2023, is boosting a very, very old narrative that NPR had published an article at 9:33 a.m. on January 6th of 2021 saying Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol, clash with police, comma being there. Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol, comma, clash with police. And of course, typical of rightoid propaganda and right-wing disinformation and everything, they're going to circle the Trump supporters and they're going to draw arrows like a magician to the point in the screenshot that they want you to take a look at. They don't want you to look at anything else. The picture is blurry, it's cropped, you get no sense of context or anything like that. You can see some Twitter stuff here on the sidebar. However, you can't actually get anything out of it. I think it is Twitter. It could potentially be Facebook. I'm not really too sure what's going on with the social media there. But this is Flynn, an actual former military member of the United States who's now retired, and in my opinion needs to be recalled so that he can be dishonorably discharged and absolutely court-martialed, because this man is a disgrace. There's a lot of people who actually now believe this guy is Q because General Mike Flynn has a history in PSYOPs. That's what he does. For a long time, many people believed it was one of the Watkins family, from 4chan and 8chan and everything. And now there is a firm belief that this Putin traitor, Michael Flynn, is the one who is now potentially Q. We know he elevates and reposts and breathes life into so many crap theories and so many dead theories. This is a prime example of it. So he's posting this from John Gillespie, and John Gillespie was the one who was pulling it out again today, about 2 hours earlier at 7:25 a.m. on December 31st. Now, when we look at this picture, if you notice, even zooming in, you can't really see what's going on the sidebar over there. It kind of reminds me... Actually, no, I can't figure it out. Part of me thinks it may be the chat area of when somebody's doing a stream on Facebook, but I'm not really too sure. Hey, maybe it's even True Social. I don't go over to that Chinese-owned cesspit, so I wouldn't really be able to tell you. Maybe it was a sidebar of a broadcast on Rumble. Regardless, this John Gillespie is trying to birth back the narrative because we're coming up to an election cycle. So we are literally bobbing for apples in the sewage water of old theories that have died, that they're trying to bring back and breathe life to. January 6th, 2021, 9:33 a.m., NPR. Oh, gee, look, they're telling on themselves because they're posting that Trump supporters are clashing with the police hours before the speech happened, hours before the actual insurrection happened, blah, blah, blah. So you're going to read this if you don't have net skills, if you are an uninformed netizen, if you are the uneducated mark that Flynn and people like Flynn count on you to be. For example, down here, one of the pre-planned articles, which was apparently meant to be part of the initial media blitz to push the J6 narrative, was published hours before the supposed insurrection. As of this posting, its timestamp still shows that this article was posted at January 6, 2021, 9:33 a.m. An old screenshot of the article header is included below. So, if NPR was up to shenanigans, don't you think they would have buried their tracks at this point instead of actually leaving it up? You can go to Marisa Penaloza's history on NPR, and you can see this article, and you can see it's still up there with the exact timestamp that Flynn and this idiot is telling you. So when I first encountered this narrative here on Twitter, I said, let me go and do some digging, okay? Let me see if maybe she was posting from a different time zone. You know, maybe she's West Coast, where she was posting it from California at some other time, and maybe that was screwing things up. Computer clocks could do this. So I went down technical avenues and couldn't really get a feel for what was going on here, except for the fact that a lot of her postings are at incredibly odd hours, 5 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. And she's been known to travel and be in wildly different time zones across the globe where she's working. However, in places where she had actually worked, if she was posting remotely on January 6th, she was mostly stationed in the Middle East, so her time zones really would have been off. No, that's not actually the case. You see, there is this thing called the Wayback Machine. It snapshots the web in basically a giant repository. You can dig up what a website looked like somewhere back in 2000 if you wanted to. On this day, it just so happened that the Web Archive, the Internet Archive, webarchive.org, the Wayback Machine, however you want to refer to it, had an original posting of the article at 9:33 a.m. with the original title. And the title as it was posted until the insurrection happened was Diehard Trump supporters gather in nation's capital to protest the election results. This is, as you can see up here, webarchive.org, blah, blah, blah. This is what spidering or capturing the cache of this page was prior to the 3 p.m. update, when the title was changed to actively reflect that there was an insurrection and violence going on. Now, you can see here, by drawing your attention to this and blurring everything out, you're going to believe this because it's literally the person sawn in half in a box from a magic show. You're drawn to a certain area of it, and you don't know that really there are two contortionists in the boxes, one representing the head and one representing the feet. Well, this is me telling you what's going on behind the magic over here. That is why in these screenshots, you don't see any of the actual text, because that would help you get a clue as to what was going on. If you could see more of this text here below the author's byline, like this picture, for example, you would get a sense of the fact that this was a live article that was updated throughout the day. Here, this 9:33 a.m. cache, or actually, I take this back. This cache was done at about 2 o'clock. It was like 1430 military time or so. And I'll show you how to do this in just a second. This way you don't need to fall for this stuff. But as you can see here, there's no mention of the violence. There's no mention of the storming. There's just the protests and who organized it. And, you know, all this stuff. It doesn't talk about violence. It talks about stuff on previous days and getting in contact with the DC attorney, General Racine, FBI. Trump plans to address the crowd at 11 a.m. Plans to address the crowd. That tells you that it's a future event. It hasn't happened yet. Right here. Trump plans to address the crowd at 11 a.m. on the ellipse. Here is how you figure this stuff out, and you don't fall for it. All you need to do is get the URL of the actual article and go to the Wayback Machine. Go to the Wayback Machine. On this search bar right here, paste in the URL. It comes up with all these caches. Now, obviously, you're not going to see anything in 2020. It didn't exist. But you can see in 2021, 22, and 23, this site has been cached many, many times. I went over here to 2021. I went over to January 6th. I went to this one at 1510, I think this one was. And there you go. You can see it right here. Diehard Trump supporters gather in nation's capital to protest the election. This is what the title was until the insurrection happened, and then the article was changed, and it now matches what you see over here. So there is no conspiracy theory. There is no proof of pre-planning. These people like Gillespie, Flynn, anybody who posts this stuff banks on you having no net skills, no critical thinking, and no ability to do any detective work for yourself when you read stuff like this. In 2024, you have got to stop falling for this stuff, whether it's in your wheelhouse or not. Whether one of these fits with your narrative, whether you believe what I'm telling you, whether you believe what Flynn is telling you, you have to do your own research on this stuff. And I'm not talking these COVID-19 anti-vaxxers like I did my own research. Horse paste is the way to go. Just because some rural facility in Africa has had success in treating livestock with ivermectin, therefore I need to do it. Therefore, Joe Rogan tells me to go do it. You have to research these things yourself. I've just given you a massive tool to help you fight this kind of disinformation. The Wayback Machine, Internet Archive, Web Archive, however you want to call it, is amazing, because if we now go to this January 28th one, and we go to this 5:47 a.m. one, there you go. There is the updated, and look, the picture is now different. Further proof that if you fell for what Flynn is telling you, you're the mark. You are the uneducated mark in this, because here, Trump supporters storm U.S. Capitol, clash with the police, and you can now see a picture of the riot, the insurrection actually happening. But if you go back, the 2 o'clock ones don't spider correctly, but if you go back to this one at 3:10, you can see the picture is different and the title is different, because the reporting of the insurrection and the violence and the rioting and the storming of the Capitol hadn't happened. So this was not pre-planned. This was not a Fedsurrection. This was not Antifa. This is not anybody telling on themselves by publishing stuff before it happens. This is nothing more than rightoid idiots, Q-level propaganda like Pizzagate, Sound of Freedom, the Wayfair child trafficking scandals. That's what this is. And if you fall for this, I'm really sorry. But you are the mark. And you need to use these tools to figure this stuff out. And when you see stuff like this from Flynn, from John Gillespie, anything like this, you need to call them out on the spot when you see it, because the more people that call them out, the more people you will reach, and maybe somebody won't fall for it. And when people stop falling for it, people like Flynn, Gillespie, others, they lose their power and they go away and they're ineffectual. So please do your actual own research, real research for a change, and don't fall for this right-wing propaganda crap. Political Napalm out. Have a happy new year.